Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Women's Empower Network. I am so glad you're here, and I'm very excited to have Doris with us all the way from Nigeria. So, welcome, Doris.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I love this. I love this international uh, global collection of women because we all go through the same experiences. I don't care what culture, what country, what religion, we as women, we all experience a lot of similar things. And so I love sharing stories, and I can't wait to hear yours. So if you would tell us a little bit about your story and journey that led you to what you're passionate about today.
Okay. Hmm. My story started. How do I start? Okay. I give birth. I have a lot to say about my journey because a lot of women they hide behind the pretty face. They hide behind the smiles. They feel ashamed to talk about it because the society has already made it look like, especially in Nigeria here, has already made it look like after childbirth, what follows. They don't prepare us about the journey after giving birth. And after childbirth, our experience is like, oh, thank God I've given birth. Let me enjoy myself. Let me get the time to rest. Let me get the time to sleep. At least someone is there to help me out, but it's not in reality. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. Because after childbirth, there is another life, a journey, a new version of you is being reborn. And that's where my coaching, that's where I come in. Because after childbirth, I found it difficult to cope with the whole postpartum journey because I was a sit-at-home mom with no work. I've been like I sit at home morning to night without doing anything meaningful with my life. Just sitting at home, the way we are expected to stay. We don't have to talk. Like just stay. Let your husband provide everything for you. As long as you are comfortable, you don't have to complain. While in our minds, a lot is going on. You keep asking yourself, aside motherhood, aside being a mother, who am I? That question kept torturing me because I'm a graduate, I learned some skills, but I can't do that. Only the sense that you're a mother, you have to sit at home to take care of your child. Forgetting that I'm a woman, I had dreams before becoming a mother. That's how postpartum depression creeps in. We always think it's baby blues, but with time, when it keeps happening and when you don't identify it on time, it leads to postpartum depression. And in that postpartum depression, we don't talk about it because we don't want people to say, this fine woman, why are you complaining? You have everything, your baby's fine, you are fine, everything is going well for you. What are you lacking? Nothing. So why do you complain? And we kept on suffering behind the smiles. We kept on suffering behind closed doors. We cry when people are not watching. It gave me sleepless nights. I remember one night I cried. I told God, "What is this? Does it mean you have come called to this world just to start giving birth?" And before I knew it, I took in for my second baby too. The postpartum depression, it just increased. I started losing my sense of identity. I started losing my self worth. I added so much weight. I felt low confidence. Where do I start from? I was even ashamed to go out to step out because of I added so much weight. So with time, after some years, I think 2 years and counting, I was speaking to my sister out of depression. She said, "Are you sure not battling with postpartum depression?" I was like, "What is postpartum depression? I can't have depression at my age." Because they don't teach us these things in the hospital. They only taught us at natal stage. They don't teach us what happens after pregnancy. how you take care of yourself, how you keep yourself busy, your mind busy. In as much as your baby needs care, you too need care too. You need that attention and support. When my sister said that, I had to go and do some research. My sister did her own research, and I saw that everything I was going through was what I found during my research. I started looking for solutions. I saw the practical steps. I asked myself, does it mean when I do these things, I'll get better without visiting the hospital or taking medications and all that? And something in me said, yes, if I can start it, I can achieve it. But it took me another year to start it, to start the practical steps. Because I don't know, when I tell someone I want to go out to work, they'll be like, why are you exercising? You are okay. You still have to stock it all in as much as I know I'm not deep down, I don't like the way I was looking. But people outside said I'm okay. So why then do I need to go out? But I had to build that courage. I had to deep down, I really needed it. And I started the practical steps. I started with my body stature. I was a very slim girl before pregnancy. I added so much weight. So I started working out, started taking my time, taking some walks, exercising, eating well, eating clean, listening to podcasts, start to change all those negative things the postpartum depression had to tell me each and every time. It took me a while though. It took me a while, but I'm glad I'm here today. And it just made me, I realized that a lot of new moms are feeling abandoned in this journey because after childbirth, after a few months, everybody leaves you to your own fate. Some don't even ask about you anymore. Some just they just want you. Oh, figure yourself out. I had to know that new moms need this guidance. New moms need this assurance that they can still rediscover themselves. They did not lose their old self. They are still that the same woman that gave birth, and they can still also rediscover that new version of themselves and be fine and be okay for themselves, for their baby, and for the family and the society at large. Yeah.
You brought up so many key points. The analogy that came to mind uh, for after childbirth that people don't talk about that you mentioned, it's like in America, we celebrate a holiday called Thanksgiving, where families come together and there's a lot of food and a feast. I'm sure you have something similar. And so you're trying to explain somebody about this feast, but until you actually sit at the table and experience it and eat the food and the flavors and everything, you have no idea what's in store for you. And I
Exactly.
think of childbirth that way. It's like being reborn. Your identity
Exactly.
of being that single person to all of a
Mhm.
sudden be responsible for this other life, and like what happens to you, the identity, Doris, and you mentioned about peer pressure and people not understanding that, look, you have a healthy baby, you have everything you need. What are you complaining about? That you talk about really feeling isolated and not having anybody to talk to that would understand what you're feeling, and trying to, and not to mention all the hormonal changes.
Exactly. How the
It
body it's
And you
yeah.
mentioned too, it was like a good couple years before you kind of figured it all out. That's a long time.
Yeah, really. It dealt with me. That's a long time.
So
Yeah.
how do you work with women today? How do you help people that are in this situation?
Okay. When when someone approaches me for mentorship or coaching, I'll ask you first of all, how old is your baby? How many months gone? Then I'll hear your story because everyone's story is different and unique. That's Nigeria for you. Everyone's story is different and unique. So I would ask you, what is your story? I would approach you. I'll get to the root of it. I don't just assume. No, it's not really the same way it was for me. It takes for someone else because, like, presently I'm mentoring someone, and her own is she's battling with fear, a lot of fears. She feels so weak. She can't even get up from the bed. In fact, she feels like, why am I doing this? She can't even clean her house. She feels so isolated. She has not stepped out of her house for months. You see, her story is different. I was able to step out, but at the same time, I wasn't myself at the same time.
Right.
So I had to approach you in your own journey. I get to hear your story, then we kick off from there.
You know what's really funny about this is mine was 180 degrees the opposite. I never thought I would be a mother. And so when I
Okay.
became a mother, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. I want to do it again. I wanted to be
Oh,
a stay-home mom, but my
oh,
husband says, when are you going back to work? He kept pressuring me to go back to work. And I'm like, but I don't want to go back to work, you know? And so
yeah,
for me, it was just the opposite. It was still the depression and the isolation and loneliness of doing something that I didn't want to do. It's like two
mm,
sides of the same coin, you know?
exactly. Yeah, it happened to
Yeah,
some women that way. That's true. Yes,
yeah. So it was still that, I mean, I was accepting the identity of mother, so it can work both ways. Um, but I can definitely appreciate that more women are feeling, especially in our modern life when we have so many opportunities and we probably had a successful career before we had our babies, we had our life and everything. And then all of a sudden
yeah.
you feel like left alone, like, okay, this is your job. This is what you do now. Especially like you said, depending on your extended family and what their beliefs are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I love that you work with each person and don't make assumptions and that each of their stories are unique. Um, and then you just start, how do you just start them on a process of uncovering what's the next step for them?
exactly. Yes. I'll start the process from rediscovering themselves, trying to balance being a mother and who they really are, because both of them can coexist. You can't leave one and accept one. No, you're already a mother. There is no two ways about it. So you have to cultivate the mother and also balance who you are, so you don't lose yourself. You don't lose your self of identity. We have to find a way, a balance between the two, so that you can be happy from within. You're also doing what you love and you're also taking care of your child the way you want it. You try to balance both, especially those that are working, that they're not always at home. Will find a way to balance both of them. There are those that are sit at home moms. I can In fact, there is one I had to force her, not really forcing, I had to make her, she starts doing something, she had to go and learn a skill to feel belong, to feel like she had to associate with other people through learning a skill. So I have you like balancing the both is what my mission is all about. So you don't have to lose any part, any one of them. You have to balance both of them, which is very possible.
And what I think it's really great about what you do is for someone to have someone like yourself to talk to who understands the feelings and can speak openly and not be shamed by anything that they're feeling. I think that's a huge part.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So how do people connect with you? How do they work with, get in touch with you?
Okay. I would through my post. I'm on Facebook, active on Facebook and on TikTok. And through my messages, I'm always available to help, to teach, to lecture, to coach through my links. Yes.
Well, we'll be sure to I want to let the audience know that we'll be sure to put Doris's contact information down in the comments. So if you can reach out to her, and maybe you have a friend who's having a really hard time adjusting to new motherhood and feeling lost, then you can share this interview with her, um, to know that she's not alone, and she's not, if she doesn't have the support around her, that there is support there, that there's somebody who understands like Doris does. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's especially in modern time, it's, I think over the last 50 years, the expectation and our desire for ourselves has really changed. I know in my mother's generation, there was it was just, you just knew that you were going to be a stay-at-home mom. There wasn't any conversation about who you were as a person. It was like, this is your job, this is your role, and this is what you do now. But in modern life, women have choices and have options. And to lose your identity like that, and then on top of all the hormonal change and the shaming of family members and everything, that can be so damaging and so isolating. I'm so grateful that you are there to help women navigate this and come back to the new version, the better version of themselves.
I think exactly the better version of themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. So is there anything else that you would like to share?
Okay. Another thing I would like to share is, oh, sorry for the noise.
I
Next
love
thing
it.
I would
I
like
heard the baby in the background. It's perfect.
that's my kids. Okay. Um, the next thing I would like to share, I would really love to share with everyone is their life still, they still matter. No matter where, what stage you are, you are still very important. You still matter. In as much as life may seem difficult and hard, but just know that you are still you. You are still there. Don't lose yourself in the course of motherhood. Motherhood is good. I'm not saying it's not good. We enjoy being the mother, yes. But in that course, don't forget who you really are. Because when you don't forget who you really are, the whole society, even your kids, even your children, they would really benefit from it. That's just it.
That's so beautiful. I'm so grateful you're here today, Doris. And just to remind everybody, if you have just questions for her, DM her or write down in the comments below this interview, and get your questions answered. So thank you again so much, Doris, for being here.
Thank you so much, Ma. I appreciate it. Thank you.